sometimes, well, it could always be worse. That's a way of saying it. Well, it could always be worse. I haven't gotten a raise in 5 years, but it could always be worse. I could have no income. I could have lost my job. Right? Well, this person I have to work with may be obnoxious and may be difficult at times and may be ungrateful. But they're not a drug addict. They're not violent. They haven't hit me in the head today. Maybe they're not an alcoholic. You know, think of those other people you may have known who had more serious problems, or other situations you've been in that have had more painful suffering. And you say, well, you know, at least we don't have that. I find that's a way to be grateful for the blessings God has given us and the blessings others give us. To first count your blessings by looking at the good things they have done or the good things in this situation. And second, to look at the bad things that they don't have, the bad things that other situations had or other people had. And I think that's a positive, really godly, really reverent, and certainly grateful way of going through life. And it's also the more peaceful and happy way. Because the world is full of such trouble and such annoyances and such difficulties that it's not hard to focus on them. They're everywhere. They're in your face all the time. So, if you let them get to you, besides being irreverent and unfaithful, they will really bring you down. They'll destroy you. I've seen so many people destroyed by negative thoughts, by bitterness, by dwelling in the past and things, quite terrible things that have happened to them. I've heard some of the most terrible things just in the past month. People have come to my study in the church here or elsewhere and have told me the most terrible things that are happening to them, that they're going through. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Things people are going through now. And how can they be grateful? How can they have a grateful heart going through these terrible things? And the answer is gratitude to God. None of us has suffered the way Jesus suffered. He suffered everything. And he suffered it for us and for our salvation. So as terrible as the pain of a sickness is, as terrible as betrayal is, Jesus knew it more. And Jesus, God as Jesus, experienced it so that God Almighty knows what you're going through. He knows what it feels like to be betrayed. He knows what it feels like to be in pain. He knows what it feels like to not be appreciated. He knows what it feels like to have every friend and family member on earth desert you. God knows that feeling of yours because he experienced it through Jesus Christ. And he did that so you can go to him. He wants you to go to him. That's the whole meaning of the incarnation. God in flesh. He invites you. He says, "Come unto me, all ye who are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So when I take my needs and sorrows to God, I often preface them with, "Jesus, I know you suffered. You know what it feels like to suffer, to be betrayed, to be left all alone. You know what it feels like to be poor. You know what it feels like to be tired, exhausted, worn out, and yet all those around you are still making demands on you. Jesus, you know what this feels like better than I do, so I can bring it to you and know you'll